Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 1923 Main Street.
Home of the Disney Travel Podcast with the latest Disney travel news. We are your hosts.
I am Mike Braddock.
And I'm Amelia Braddock. And today we have a few news stories as well as stories from our most recent trip.
Yeah, little trip report to come after the news headlines. Let's start it off with Connections Cafe, which we talked about recently, replacing, or maybe not directly replacing, but the new version of Electric Umbrella, sort of, at Epcot. Will also be the new home of
Starbucks.
Yeah, Starbucks. So again, sometime this spring, Starbucks will open along with Connections Cafe at Epcot and like other Starbucks.
So are they like removing the other Starbucks from Epcot?
It sounds like it, because that whole area is under construction right now. So this one will be designed to fit the theme of the new surroundings, as they do with all their Starbucks.
Hopefully this one will be designed to have shorter lines.
Yeah, and they're going to be removing the Travelers Cafe and World Showcase at the same time. So Disney giveth and Disney taketh away.
Yes.
Also in the news,
as of March 16th, face coverings are now optional for fully vaccinated guests on the Skyliner. And they will also be optional for fully vaccinated guests on the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser.
Star Cruiser.
I said Star Cruiser.
Sounded like Scar Cruiser.
Well, that would be a cool name.
I know. I just thought that. Well, Scar. That would be more like Lion King. But anyway, so it's funny, like bit by bit. Now, maybe the thinking here is there is some sort of venting in the Skyliner.
They're very open.
Well, I wouldn't say they're very open, but they do have a slight breeze blowing through them. But... and all that to say, they are not removing masks from monorails or Disney buses just yet. So everyone age 2 and up is supposed to wear a mask on the monorail and on Disney buses. But the Skyliner, they're easing it off.
Yeah. And the Skyliner, especially if you don't go at a peak time, you're likely to just get your own vehicle and you and your party. So it's really not too much of an issue if you're not going right at when parks are opening or closing.
So let's dive right into that. It's a pretty light news week. Those are the news stories this week. And that's fortunate because we literally just a couple of hours ago returned home from our most recent visit to the vacation kingdom of the world, Walt Disney World.
We're fresh off the trip.
And here is our trip report. So let's start with that, with masks. Well, I think we were the only ones wearing masks in all of Walt Disney World. I would say 99.999% of guests, if you're wondering, do not have masks on.
Yeah.
Anywhere. The buses and monorail are pretty good.
Yeah.
And then there are always those people. Please don't be one of those people. I don't know what you're trying to prove by defiantly not wearing a mask on a bus or a monorail, but have some consideration for other guests and put it on for the 5 minutes you're on the transportation until they drop it.
Yeah, I mean, most people were generally good. They would wear it when they had to, and when they don't have to, why would you, I can understand that. But for us, I mean, we had to test to get back, so.
Yeah, and which is also being dropped for Canadians.
Yes.
As of April 1st, we will no longer have to test to come home. So
finally.
How fortunate of our government to do that after spring break.
Yeah.
Nice. Doesn't really help anybody, but it'll be good for the summer if it's still that way. So, yeah, it was interesting to see. We're comparing this to August was our most recent trip before that. And I would say in August, masks were about 50-50.
I would think that's slightly because it was required everywhere. And so it's easier for people to access it because when it's only required on transportation, they probably push it down in their bags.
Yeah, in the summer, they had a indoor masking policy when we were there. So you could still take it off outdoors. So summer, I would say 50-50, even in the lines. And now it's pretty much unmasked. So if you're going and you're hesitant, know that. Yeah. However, we took them off whenever there was not a lot of people around because we did have to test to come home. Yeah. So we have to be extra careful. Not so much about getting sick from COVID, but just catching it and not being able to get home
And for the record, honestly, we did not catch COVID.
Now, yes, we are home, so we are good.
On time.
Now, let's talk about another interesting topic from this most recent visit. We really, really got deep into Genie Plus and Lightning Lane on this trip and really ran it through the paces, and I have some different opinions than I had in the past about Lightning Lane and Genie Plus.
Aha, you've converted to my side.
Well, I'll start with Genie Plus. We pretty much ignored it. So I found that it just takes too much time to sit and read Genie Plus, and it's sort of fun to see what it's recommending. But really, if you're experienced, you're probably not going to use it unless you consciously say, okay, I'm going to take the time and not worry about anything else and do a Genie Plus day. That's fine. But for new users who are stumbling around, they're inexperienced and they're not with someone who knows their way around, it's probably helpful. But for most of us who go, more than once every 10 years, it's probably not something you're going to use. Now, regular lightning lane, epic fail for me.
No, I think
versus the old FastPass system, the most recent.
See, I still agree with what I said earlier, but I'm not as strongly supporting it. I think you can get on a similar amount of rides, but it's not as guaranteed as with FastPass.
And it's not the good rides.
No, it's possible that you could get on 2 good rides back to back, but it's not likely.
Yes. So here's the thing. Getting up at 7 a.m. stinks. So if Disney just wanted, I get up early anyway, but having to get up and stress about getting your lightning lanes every single morning of your trip at 7 a.m., it's not fun.
Yeah.
People said, well, neither was the 60-day thing. Well, you only did it once. You did it once, and then you could sleep in on your trip or do whatever you wanted to do.
Exactly.
And not have to get up every single day at 7 o'clock and see what you can get in the first 30 seconds before everything's gone. It was a busy week when we were there, so I was really testing this out.
Yeah.
I will tell you one thing. Definitely do not use resort Wi-Fi, because I specifically tested this out. So you can imagine when everybody at Walt Disney World is using Wi-Fi at the same time. So we tested this out with Rise one day, right?
Yeah.
Get up right away, did the full system of when it clicked over to 6:59, I started a countdown app. And when it was at 1 second to go, I pulled down, refreshed, went through Rise, got past got to the pay area, went to pay, and then it hung up on Wi-Fi because the entire Walt Disney World at that minute of 7 o'clock is hammering their Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Didn't get it. Had to reboot. It just froze my whole app.
Our room at Bay Lake was particularly bad.
Yeah, we had a spotty Wi-Fi. Anyway, tried it again another day with data. Bingo, boom, right through. So definitely use data at the 7 a.m. mark if you have it on your cell phone, because
yes,
Disney Wi-Fi will get sluggish, which makes sense because there's, 10,000 people, however many, I don't know, however many guests, but pretty much everybody at the same time.
If you don't have that, maybe this is probably a lot of work, but if you were to go down and get on a different network, like a public space, as opposed to the in-room Wi-Fi, because in-room Wi-Fi is where most people are probably doing it.
Yeah, because even if it's okay, but you can imagine, because every single guest at Walt Disney World is hammering that at the exact same time every single day, it just slows the network.
Yeah.
So you will definitely have an advantage, which I've read on other things, and it's true because we tested it. Use your data and it just for that, and then switch back to Wi-Fi after. After we did that, when we're doing future ones in the parks, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Using Wi-Fi worked.
I think, if you get up right then, especially if you get up, hit rope drop, you can get on one ride just being there, another ride because you booked it, and then possibly a third ride, depending on how many people are looking at Genie Plus, which is really not that much less than the FastPass Plus. But for me, it was because with FastPass Plus, you can book everything around the FastPasses because they're set. Now you can't book a reservation for food or anything because you don't know when your ride's going to be. So you have to prioritize, whereas before you could have it all.
And you got it out of the way, right? So what I'm saying is they could have paid they could have just turned the old one into a paid system and they still get their money for the fast passes, but not have to get up at 7 a.m. on every day. You just get up once. Anyway, However, we did learn. So to get around this, and not everybody's going to do this, we did a VIP tour, which we like VIP tours. Now, I have a feeling there's a reason these are way more in demand now than they ever were. They're selling out so fast and you have to get on a waiting. It's the same thing. Book your VIP tour as soon as you can. It's a 60-day window, I think it is now.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you're not going to get it, and you're going to go on a waiting list. So that was exceptional. We had a great guide, And, how many attractions did we get?
We got on, I did the most. I got on 14 attractions, but we also watched Enchantment at the end of it. So in the first 6 hours, we went to 2 parks and got on 14 attractions.
Yeah, so here's our recommendation. It's sort of the way we do it at Disneyland too, but there are only 2 parks there. If you're going to do a VIP tour, for us to get the most bang for your buck, we just do 2 parks, so you're not wasting too much time driving around. And they do shuttle you around in a nice big black Escalator or whatever it was.
Escalator?
And it was great. But I don't want to spend a lot of time in transportation. So we decided to do Hollywood, obviously. So we did, What did we do?
We did Rise, Smuggler's Run, Toy Story Mania, Slinky Dog, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Tower of Terror, and Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah, so that was good. And then we went to Magic Kingdom and just did a ton of stuff there too.
Yeah.
Right up until we could have done more, but we just wanted to go relax.
And we also weren't running around. We stopped to eat pretzels and drink water, and we had to transport to and from parks as well.
Yeah, we actually took our time, really. We were not running. We sat down for half an hour to have a snack at one point and stuff like that. So this was not if you really want to pound it,
you could probably get 20 rides.
I was going to say 20
in the 7 hours.
You could do 20 top tier rides easy in 2 parks in that time. Yeah, we just did the 7 hours. So excellent guide we had too, which really helps. So a VIP tour is great, but to have to do a VIP tour now to take the place of what you could do in the past.
Well,
no, you couldn't do this in the past, but
yeah, I was going to say.
When I was filling out the survey for the VIP tour, they said, "Why did you do it?" Well, a big part is because I can't. The park experience is less now. Would you agree with this, Amelia? The park experience is worse with Lightning Lane than it was with 60-day Fast Pass.
Well, yeah, obviously. Yeah. I love the 60-day Fast Pass.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'm the biggest promoter of that. But then again, Disney did get feedback that people didn't like planning it that far in advance.
That's what they told us.
And if you're not a hotel guest, it kind of sucks for you. But as an on-site resort guest for years, I'm personally a big fan.
Of what?
The 60-day window for Fast
Pass.
Plus.
So was I. And you just got everything out of the way, and it just made it easier when you were there, as opposed to every single morning starts with a stressful situation and getting up early. And you also cannot pick the time.
That's another thing.
You're at the mercy of the system. So, you finish one and you want to do something. Well, suddenly it's already at 7 p.m. and it's 10 in the morning, right? So it makes park hopping a drag and stuff like that. So
yeah. Or you get up and you try to book something and, it's for right at the park opening and you don't have time to get there, but you don't want to wait for a later one because then it's way later.
So then we would wait half an hour. Okay, see what it's at now. So it's just very clunky, right? I'm hoping they'll adjust as they go and sort of get some feedback and fix it up and fine-tune it. And
it is a 70-minute window, too, so.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes before, 10 minutes after?
Yeah, and
so 75. It's an hour window.
Is it 10 minutes after?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe even 15. It's longer on the back end. That's what I know. So it's at least a 70-minute window. So you can, sometimes we would be just waiting to go 5 minutes early. Oh, we're 6 minutes early, so we had to stand.
Because we've been waiting around in the park because we just finished our other one.
But all in all, it was a great week,
Yeah.
It's interesting. There were no boats running from Disney's Contemporary Resort at all, and we found out the reason why is because of COVID.
They didn't have enough boat drivers because all of them retired.
Yeah, all the captains are retired, so they're... during COVID when people were either furloughed or they just decided to retire, because a lot of those were senior captains.
Yeah, I would too.
So they have a lack of head captains to run the boats. So that's why there are no boats running right now. So it's a pain to go from Contemporary to Fort Wilderness or Wilderness Lodge now. You got to take a monorail and a bus as opposed to the old boat. So that's why that's not running. The SeaRaycers, we were told, are likely never coming back. And when COVID hit, they just sat there and sort of got aged and gummed up in the engines, and it just became a maintenance nightmare. That's what we were told. We were asking about that as well. So the mini speedboats probably will not be back.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so COVID took more than we bargained for at Walt Disney World. Yes. Really put a dent in some classic fun things. I do like what they've done with the electrical water pageant. They didn't ruin it. They just added a nice beginning and ending with some 50
at the back end. That was very nice because they included everything, made it special while making it their 50th iridescent usual.
So that's the news for this week. That is our trip report. Let us know what you think about Lightning Lane. Listen, I know some people love it, think it's the best thing ever. For us, it's not. It all really depends on how you approach the parks, whether or not you're going to like it.
Yeah, it's better than I thought, but it's not as good as I would like it to be.
Yeah, I did find once you were in the parks and you'd done your first big one, you can get a bunch of other things, sort of, and this was a busy time, but they're just not the good. The good ones are going to be gone. So you're like using Lightning Lane for It's a Small World and Tomorrowland Speedway, that sort of thing, right? As opposed to Space Mountain or Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
But anyway, it is what it is. And let us know what you think about it. Love to hear your opinions because everybody's having different experiences with it. All right, that's all the news for this week and our trip report. We hope you enjoyed it. We are glad you listened along. Thank you for listening. Follow along at 1923 Main Street on social media, and we'll see you again next week. Have a magical day.
Bye-bye.